Okay, here we are. Here we are. A couple of seconds late here this morning. Let me check my hair. Well, it's afternoon. Just afternoon, just barely. How is everybody? Hopping on into the classroom. Come on in. We'll be talking about a really fun and comforting topic today. Tea. I'll tell you shortly how I happened to hit on this topic. And it really is delightful. And it's a great time of year because a hot cup of something is always very welcome this time of year. So anyways, you're coming in. Hi, everybody. Great to see you. Missed you last week, but here we are back together again. So soon, February 15, halfway through the month. This year is just, hey, hi, Connie. Connie just said in the chat, and you guys can, that's just a reminder to participate here. You can type in the chat, you can type into the Q&A, or you can also raise your hand and I will call on you and you can speak. We can all hear you. So I hope you're having a good winter. I hope you're having a really nice season. We're getting some more snow, which I have to say, for one, I'm very excited about. Coming in this evening and then snowing all day tomorrow. So for a while there, it didn't look like we were going to have much for New England snow, but it looks like we have been, and it looks like we're going to get some more. I can say that with glee because I'm not responsible for the plowing where I am or the shoveling or really anything. It doesn't really affect me except I get to enjoy New England winter. And I've got a nice little heated, I say bird bath. It is a bird bath, but they don't bathe in it in the winter. They drink from it. And the squirrels really like to do that too. In fact, Dale set up for me a motion censored camera, like pointing down at it so we can see like what comes to partake of clean water in the winter is really important for the critters. And unfortunately, they can't just eat snow. I don't know why that is. That just seems to make all the sense in the world, right? Why couldn't you just eat snow? But I don't know, maybe some of you more versed in wildlife people out there can inform me about that. But anyway, we do that. It's a lot of fun. All right, so I had gotten sort of away from drinking regular tea, like Camellia sinensis, which is the tea plant. For a while, I had gone off caffeine myself because I found that caffeine is like sort of like an anxiety instigator for me. So I haven't drank caffeinated coffee in a good 2+ years. And I had gotten away from drinking teas that were actual tea because tea contains caffeine too, and just sort of got out of the habit of it, preferring going more with herbal teas. I'm going to talk today about how herbal tea is not tea. It's a form of a tea is a way you can take herbal things, but it's not what we think of as classically tea. Anyway, over Christmas, one of my clients who is a huge tea aficionado and expert gave me a couple of different green teas. And so I started drinking them again and found that the caffeine absolutely doesn't bother me at that level in green tea. And also the L-theanine, I think it is, but it's very uplifting. So the first thing I go for in the morning now is a cup or two of lovely tea. And then I just purchased a green tea and got some for him, as well as a gift from Israel through this company called Lev Holam. Lev Holam, we subscribe to their, they are a business that brings in different businesses from Israel. And so to support our Israeli brothers and sisters, it's a great way. You get a surprise package every month with different of the products. And so anyway, I ordered some tea directly from them and really delightful. So anyway, I want to get into that. Let me just go ahead and introduce myself if you might be tuning in for the first time to a Wondrous Roots Your Health from the Ground Up. So my name is Rebecca Becky Montrone. My husband Dale and I both grew up in Keene, New Hampshire, but adult life and his career initially took us out of this area in the early 80s, and just came back in 2009 when my father of the apothecary here in Keene, George Wrench, the late George Wrench, his health hit a crisis. And so we came back to facilitate help out with that. And here we are. We are still here in Keene and plan to stay here unless God should have other plans, but we don't see any of that coming around the corner and aren't looking for it for sure. We're very happy here. But I am an holistic healthcare practitioner with a degree in holistic nutrition. I am also an herbalist, so I work with the pharmacology of plants and botanical medicine, taking off really with my family history of pharmacy and compounding pharmacy, which originally dates back to plants, right? Your old time apothecaries, and apothecaries were not the names of, wasn't what a shop was called, it was what the practitioner was called. You are an apothecary. So I am an apothecary's daughter and an apothecary myself in that sense of things. So anyway, have a full line of formulas, always coming up with new things, have some new irons in the fire right now. Oh, and last week decided to do our own line of incense sticks. I'm a big fan of incense. I love incense. I have so much incense at home, burning incense all the time. I just absolutely love it. And thought, why not do our own? So we'll be kicking that off in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, okay. So we are located in Keene, New Hampshire on Roxbury Street, which is one of the main corridors off Central Square, up on the third floor of an ancient building, well, ancient by our standards here in New England, called the Miller Forge Building. Up on the third floor, so we have elevator access, plenty of free parking. We're open 9:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. We have an open shop, so I have, the things that we make ourselves, and then my formulas, whether they be our skincare product, our skincare line, other topical formulas for health problems, as well as internal formulas for to be taken internally of liquid extracts for different problems, and then single extracts if you're looking for something kind of off the beaten path that you can't get a hold of. We probably would have it in a single herb, or at least could get it for you. Our number here is 603-439-2603. You can also reach out to me from our website. So we have our full shop what do I want to say? Products in our shop are found online, shopwondrousroots.com. I also have many products here that I use frequently with my clients and make available to the general public that are things that we don't make. So you can find those things at shopwondrousroots.com. You can also go to my other website, wondrousroots.org. I can easily get from one to the other, but there you'll see more informational things. I'm constantly building my informational files there to make education part of all of this, and making information available to you and to anyone who might benefit. And that's continuously growing underneath. It's kind of like just always growing as I add things. So anyway, I'll show you a couple of new things as I share my screen. So again, number 603-439-2603. You can reach out, contact us from either of the websites I just mentioned. Go to the contact us. That comes to my private email, and I will get back to you. I think that's it for my intro, except again, how to raise your hand, type into the chat, and type into the Q&A, and you can participate. Again, whatever I'm talking about on a given Saturday doesn't matter. What I'm talking about, please ask any questions, bring up any topic that you want to. I love that. That's kind of like just the way we do it here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go, share. And when I do that, just do a few little adjustments here. Number one, get my chat and where I can see you, get you where I can see you. So I know who's here, who's playing hooky. we do have, this is open to anyone who gets the newsletter. And then I didn't take the time this morning to put up on my website. I should probably just put that at the banner of both my websites so people know how they can find. And then I like to say what we're talking about, but let's get this kind of well spaced out there so I can go from slide to slide. Before I do that, let's just take a wander over to Wondrous Roots. This is the learning website. I say that, of course, you can easily get from one to the other. So if you do that, it takes you to the store. If you go like that, it takes you back here. The learn section is getting to be, you kind of just hover over it, it'll drop down. I'm always adding things. I've used 50 of my 100 available pages. Oh, now I think there might be 49 left. Things like nutrients, like, right, I can't have a page for vitamin A, a page for vitamin B6, whatever. So those are, if you're looking for things like that, you're going to find in nutrients. This has a long way to go to actually building my files, but they will be placed in alphabetical order. I'll just do a new page, a new section, and build there. So just some of those things there. Another one that these are all kind of obvious if you're going by topics. I started out arthritis and autoimmune is going to go into one, but I have hardly anything there, but I wanted to put my references forward to give to people. So all I wanted to do was set that page up to get going, and I have wrong information there. That's all I have so far. Some of these, as you well know, are very well populated. They're very well developed, but they will continue to grow as well as new things come up. Instead of just storing them in my own personal files, they go on the website. So that saves me time in the long run. I'll give you an example here, like methylene blue. Just was reading up, I'm working with somebody with POTS syndrome, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It's one of the conditions of dysautonomia, a dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system. So I found mention of methylene blue for that, which makes all the sense in the world because it involves at its very root mitochondrial dysfunction. Here I am, the mitochondriac again. You guys, I always tell you I'm the mitochondriac. So again, as I find that, you find that there, and then it will also go on my newly started and burgeoning dysautonomia page. So again, a lot more will be coming there. So you can see how it kind of goes. I keep building as I'm doing stuff for a client, or as I'm working on something, or as I have time to just develop something I haven't put on the website, I'm doing that. But today we are going to go to, this is a presentation that I actually put together. Oh my goodness, back in 2014 I started, but then I worked on it today just to bring it up to date and get it a little bit more svelte in its presentation, but the information is really great. And tea, I hope this kind of inspires you to, if you're not a tea drinker, to explore all of that and get into it, because it's so great for your health. So I'm wondering, I say here, what makes tea? You guys know that I'm really fussy about this, trying to get my slide sizes down appropriately. So we're not doing that, overlapping. Okay, we'll try that. What makes tea tea? What makes one tea different from another? Where does tea come from? And is drinking tea good for me? So that's a good place to start. These questions are just some that come to my curious mind. My mind is always curious about, almost always, I would say it is always curious. I have such a love of learning. Many of you do too. And there's nothing better in life. It says in the Bible to get wisdom, and after wisdom, get knowledge. Well, what is wisdom? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and then get knowledge. And God's knowledge doesn't just pertain to spiritual things. There is nothing secular or sacred when it comes to God, because he's the author and the creator of all things. So if you're fascinated by science, you are peeling back the layers of God's knowledge and wisdom. And so anything you're curious about, anything and anything in any dimension of life, whether it be music or art, science, literature, anything, this all goes back to the mind of God. And so those of us who are curious and want and on a quest for knowledge, it reflects the way we're created. And we're supposed to have a thirst to know more, to be students lifelong. And so I love that. I love that. It's the richness of life. It's really wonderful. So anyway, red tea, white tea, green tea, black tea. Remember the Dr. Seuss, red fish, white fish, blue fish, his thing. And that was a classic Dr. Seuss children's book. So anyway, I kind of take off on that. Can someone please explain this to me? Oh, I thought you'd never ask. I know you guys are just as Lisa. Lisa is saying, hi, Becky, excited about the upcoming incense products. Yeah. I'll talk about a little bit about them at the end, like what I'm coming up with for my blends. Really, really excited about that, and learned all last Sunday during the snowstorm. Really spent several hours figuring out the best way to make them and all of that kind of thing. Anyway, great. So Camilla sinensis, this is the name of the tea plant. So green tea, black tea, white tea, oolong tea, all come from the very same plant. I don't know if you all know that, but I didn't know that, until I knew it. And I think that that's really interesting. So what makes them different? And they are different. They're very different in their medicinal properties and their taste, and it all comes in the preparation. So I say, before I get there, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back a little tea history. Tea was first discovered in China, we are told, in 2737 BC by Chinese Emperor Shen Nong, who was known as the divine healer. And here's something happened to him. Something happened to this Emperor Shen Nong. And he was, as the story goes, as the folklore tells us, he was boiling some water, and a tea leaf fell off the tree into his water, and the Camilla sinensis tea. And that the rest is history. According to the story, a Camilla sinensis leaf blew into his pot while he was boiling water in his garden. When he sipped the resulting infusion, he declared it to have medicinal powers. It truly does. In his medical book, The Pen Cao, Chen Nong said tea quenches thirst, lessens the desire for sleep, gladdens and cheers the heart. Notice that it didn't lessen sleep. It lessened the desire for sleep. If you have less desire for sleep and you need less sleep, you have so much more time to learn, and to discover and to do things, I love to do things. Where is tea grown? Camilla sinensis is indigenous to that part of the world we now call China, Tibet, and northern India. But today, it can be successfully cultivated between a geographic belt that runs between the tropics of Cancer and the Capricorn from the equator to 42 degrees north. It's kind of a world map of tea. It's a little bit small to see here. Oh, I think I can just blow that up. So here you go. The really dark areas are the countries with the high tea production and high tea export volumes. And then when you get to the lighter green here, these are the countries you can see down here: Thailand, Vietnam, this area. You have countries with relatively high tea production, tea exports, and/or great importance for the world tea culture. And then countries with low tea production, but still tea production, right? Not with none, but with low tea production, exports, and little importance for the world of tea culture. But still, you can see these areas of the world, some in Africa, Australia, over in here, and then also parts of Indonesia, Taiwan, is again in the very, even though it's here, it's the very dark. Oolong is specifically native to Taiwan, Formosa. Okay. And then where tea is grown makes all the difference. Like where the tea is actually grown makes a difference in the distinctive characteristics of every cup of tea. It's not the only thing, but that's a big one. So I think of wine as a comparison, although every glass of wine, Chardonnay, Merlot, Cabernet, Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, etc., comes from just one species, Vitis vinifera. There are many varietals and many different production techniques. So that's like a very, very good comparison to the differences in tea. The Camellia sinensis bush can grow to be as tall as 60 feet, but cultivated bushes are pruned to between 3 and 5 feet. That is just a stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. I could like stare at that image at the photograph for like hours. And I don't know about hours, I'd probably get bored, but wow, isn't that just breathtaking? Just absolutely amazing. The plants thrive in tropical temperatures, but the teas become more, the teas that come from more mountainous areas are considered to be the finest. So we can think of Darjeeling, India. That's another stunning with the rainbow there. The state after the rain there, but here in the very mountainous regions, Darjeeling tea, for example, comes from the mountains of India, is grown in a cooler environment. Because of this, the bush does not flourish, but concentrates its flavor and power in the very tips of the leaves. And that's really all that matters when it comes to tea. You would think, wow, I've got this big tea bush. I've got this big Camellia sinensis bush, and I should be able to just get so much tea out of here. But no, we only use a very small part, the very tips of the leaves and a flower to actually make tea. So a lot of that Camellia sinensis bush does not get used. Generally speaking, the higher the tea is grown, the thinner the body and the more concentrated the flavor. That's just a little decoration slide. Astonishing. The very tips of the leaves are all that are used for tea. Only the first inch or two. Fine full-leaf teas are made only from the topmost shoots, at the most, a single bud and 2 leaves. This is why teas can be really, expensive, because the really excellent teas are handled very properly and very particularly and in a certain fashion. And so it's not something that, it's something that's special and precious. It's kind of like a precious commodity. How do they do this? Women usually, of course, wind gracefully through the bushes, expertly plucking the first inch of the bush with their fingertips and tossing the leaves and buds into baskets carried on their backs. I didn't bother to try to get a video. I bet I could really quickly find a video. Maybe I'll try to do it really quick. Women picking tea leaves. Let's just try, see what we come up with here. Yeah, so here we go. Oh, now that's not fair. She's there using she's using a machine. But let's do this one. So they're only picking the very top there, the 2 leaves, and then let's see, let me show the one where they have it on their back. Oh, here we go. Let's try this one. Anyway, a video within a video. So see, you see there, she's carrying this on the back of her, she's carrying this on the back, on her back. And so as she picks, she will throw the, what she gets into the bag. There we go. That's a really good one. This typical way of doing this is, you can see it's very time consuming and very particular. She's being very careful about what she uses. Okay. The parts of the plant, what she takes, she's just not like grabbing it all. That woman with the machine, though, she seemed like she was like, just, okay, we're going to basically get the tips. And I suppose there's a place for that, but this is what the men do. Where efficiency is more important than tradition, harvesting machines do the work, operated by men usually. They are clumsy compared to the skilled women with their tiny fingers, sometimes taking an entire branch rather than the bud, the 2 leaves and a bud. So anyway, if the same plant can be black, green, white, or oolong, what does make them different? So it's all in the processing. After the leaves are picked, how they are handled affects their various constituents, such as caffeine, polyphenols, flavonoids, catechins, etc. Black tea, for example, is higher in caffeine content and lower in polyphenol content because of the way it is processed after the harvesting. Black tea accounts for some 90% of the tea enjoyed in the United States. So it starts with stage 1, withering. So they pick these leaves, and then the first step for black tea is they wither them. So the withering is done to remove moisture from the leaves so they can be rolled. The leaves are spread on trays or racks in a cool room for 18 to 24 hours. Then stage 2, they roll the leaves. Rolling the leaf readies it for transformation. That's the process they call it. The best teas are hand rolled, each leaf curled through its length and twisted slightly. So think about that. When you get tea, like, hang on, I'm just going to go bear with me for 1 second. So this is one of the teas. Let me just stop my share for a second. This is one of the teas my client friend gave me at Christmas time. And this is from Anhui Province, China. Tea maker Wang Fengsheng. Harvest time early April. And it's Yellow Mountain. So anyway, this is green tea. I always have a hard time showing you anything on this thing. There's a way to do that. Like I could get fancy, but I'm not getting fancy right now. Let's do this. Let's put them on here and kind of, okay, there, you can see them there. But can you imagine like having all of these be like hand rolled, like each leaf? So there's a lot of laborious effort that goes into all of this tea stuff. All right, share my screen again. Okay, so rolling. The best teas are hand rolled, each leaf curled through its length and twisted slightly. The cells of the leaf are broken apart in that process, releasing enzymes that will interact with the air and cause oxidation. Fermentation is the traditional term, but an inaccurate description of what's taking place. So there really is no fermentation. It's not like when we're making something, alcohol out of sugar, right? It's not a fermentation. It's really oxidation. And when we think about oxidation, right, reactive oxygen species, and we usually think of damage to things. And so this is why, well, I'll get into that in a second. But what do we use to combat oxidation is antioxidants. But we'll just hold on to that thought, and we'll get into why green tea is healthier in some ways as an antioxidant than black tea because it undergoes less oxidation. Okay. I just let the cat out of the bag, but it's okay. I just couldn't contain myself. Okay. Oxidation changes the chemical structure of the tea leaf, allowing key flavor characteristics to emerge. Now, see, there's a purpose there. It's not like we made a mistake. We didn't want this to oxidize to this extent. It's that we wanted it to because there are certain things we're looking for here. And one of the things is flavor characteristics to emerge. The rolled leaves are spread on cement or tile floors and tables in a cool, humid room. They are expertly monitored by sight and smell to determine how much is enough and how much is too much. You can see this is an art. The developing of teas, which we can so easily take for granted when we just purchase some tea, very, very much an art. Okay. It is during this oxidative process that the caffeine of the tea increases and the polyphenol content decreases, making black tea one of the less healthful teas, although it's still super good for your health. So we'll get into that. And then firing is the step that stops the fermentation or oxidation. The leaves are, I'm going to remove that on my PDF, on my PowerPoint, I will, my little overlap of stuff. Words are placed in hot pans and woks or fed into drying chambers. The leaves turn black and lose all of about 1% of their moisture. So this is the black tea. During this oxidation process, referred to as fermentation, you have an increased caffeine content, while the nutritive polyphenols, the antioxidants, right, are brought down. So that's kind of the trade-off with black tea, but it doesn't mean that black tea isn't good for you. It certainly is. Green tea is done differently. So green tea is you start with steaming. Steaming or pan frying occurs immediately after the leaves are plucked. The leaves are placed in a metal pan over a hot flame to render them soft and pliable. The sudden exposure to heat destroys the enzymes that would otherwise lead to oxidation as wanted with the black tea, but they want this to not happen because green tea is not oxidized or fermented in the tea speak. Its caffeine content is less than that of a black tea. The caffeine content of a cup of black tea is around 80 milligrams, while green tea contains somewhere around 21 milligrams. The lack of oxidation also ensures that the leaves retain more of their nutritive properties. So again, green tea has more of its nutritive properties. It has less caffeine due to the skipping that oxidation step. Then they roll it as described above, and I'm showing you those leaves. This is again green tea. And then they fire it. As with black tea, fired green tea retains only 2% of its original moisture. That's your green tea. I had 2 cups this morning. I'm telling you, I really much prefer it to my decaf coffee in the morning now because I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think the theanine itself, which is a great uplifting constituent of green tea, is very prominent, and it's just it gives you a pleasant. I mean, I usually feel pleasant in the morning anyway, but I can tell it feels good. It feels good beyond the taste. Now, white tea. What is white tea? Or bai cha in Chinese is produced from buds and leaves that are simply steamed and dried without being rolled or fired. This type of tea has virtually no caffeine and a subtle grassy flavor. Yeah, I've got to get some white tea. Now that they say that, I'm going to get some because that is really true. I've really liked white tea when I've had it in the past. The rarest of white teas is made from leaf buds that are plucked on the day before they open. Can you just imagine how intricate this is? How you really have to know what you're doing to get into this tea harvesting business, because the rarest of white teas is made from the leaf buds that are plucked on the day before they open. So you have to know your plant to do that. You have to have somebody doing the picking who knows that these are going to bud tomorrow, not soon, not maybe tomorrow or the next day, but tomorrow they're going to bud. White tea has the greatest health promoting benefits because of this method of processing. Again, it's like the least, there's absolutely no time here. And they're there. You're pick and it's there and nothing has changed. But anyway, I say I'm getting ahead of myself again. Okay, Oolong. Its origin is in Taiwan and most comes from Taiwan, although some is grown in China today. Oolong tea sort of falls somewhere in between black tea and green tea in its processing and in the way it's processed, in its resulting nutritional breakdown. It is a tea with very large leaves and is perhaps the sweetest tasting tea. If you've ever had oolong tea, when it's all dried and you put it in your diffuser, not your diffuser, your well, is that what they call them? Yeah, a diffusing ball. Yeah. You put them in there and they're huge. And you're like, I didn't expect that to happen. The first time you do it, you're like, I really did not expect that explosion when the water hits them of their great size. But it is perhaps the sweetest tasting. So if you really love like a sweet tea taste, oolong is a really good tea to try. So now for the best part. I don't know if it's the best part. Well, I think it is the best part, but I think it's more like it sweetens the pot, right? Because these things taste so good, but they're so good for you. So we're going to go a little bit into how these different teas are good for your health. Soothing and enlightening, I say. When I say enlightening, like I guess the enlightening part sort of comes from the helpful properties that are affecting the brain. But I just think, you drink tea and you feel, I don't know, I think it brings focus and a sense of pensiveness, a sense of meditativeness, or stopping to savor and ponder thoughts rather than just rushing through, stopping to enjoy what you're learning. I think it has that effect, but that could be my imagination, but I bet you that that's true. And then let's see. Let me bring this down a little bit. Okay. So we have here the many health benefits of tea. 46% lower ovarian cancer risk. Research is at Sweden's National Institute of Environmental Medicine, Karolinska Institute. Examined the association between tea consumption and risk of ovarian cancer in 61,057 women 40 to 76 years of age who took part in the population-based Swedish mammography cohort. The researchers found tea consumption of 2 or more cups of tea per day had a significant inverse association with risk of ovarian cancer. I mean, that's really huge. 46%. 46% is nearly half. So we've got about the same difference in breast cancer risk, just to give you a comparison, of women with the BRCA1 gene mutation that pretends for people are like, oh, I hope I don't have that mutation because I have like a 49% chance of getting breast cancer, and that's considered super significant, and it is. I've talked in the past about how you bring that down, right? Using glutathione, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But again, that's not just a small amount, and this is 2 or more cups of tea per day. If you're a tea drinker, you're probably drinking more than that because you like it and you need to replenish your thirst. You need to quench your thirst and replenish your fluids, so you probably are doing more than that. But 1 or 2 is enough. Specifically, women who drank 2 or more had the 46. Yes, each additional cup of tea was associated with an 18% decreased risk of ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer is one of those cancers that is in great dread. And it's one of those cancers we see more of today. One of the reasons being that women's hormones are so off due to the high estrogenic environment we're in and lack of iodine in our diets and things like that. But anyway, a multitude of research studies suggest that drinking tea may contribute to overall health. Potential benefits include the following: cardiovascular, reduced risk of heart attack and stroke, and improved blood vessel function, less risk of certain cancers, others including colorectal and skin cancers, decreased levels of oxidative DNA damage, and increases in antioxidants levels in the bloodstream. Okay, so that decreased levels of oxidative DNA damage, right? That's what leads to cancer. Other things too, but DNA damage is where we get our problems, and why epigenetics is so important to practice when it comes to our health. And drinking tea, I guess we could say, is an epigenetic factor because it changes the expression of the DNA so that it doesn't mutate. And Melanie is asking, does it matter if it's hot or cold? No, it doesn't not matter, which is great because tea is a year-round thing. We really enjoy it hot right now during the winter, at least where I am. Some of you guys are in California or other places, and it's not Florida, it's not hot, so you might be thinking cold right now. Oral health benefits. Researchers believe certain compounds in tea may inhibit bacteria that cause bad breath and plaque, and the natural fluoride content in tea supports healthy tooth enamel. Now, you might ask about that because most of us don't want fluoride. Fluoride is most prominent in black tea. So people who drink a lot of black tea. I had a client one time and she drank, I mean, I want to say probably 10 or 12 cups of black tea a day. And then she wasn't getting another balancing nutrient. I can't remember the whole skinny on that thing, but I had to kind of warn her about that. And then also getting too much fluoride can be a problem. But in person, just drinking black tea, among other teas too, during the day, if you're breaking that up, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But generally, I would say that fluoride content is not really a health benefit, although the fluoride found in tea is very different than the fluoride found in fluoridated water. They use a totally different fluoride molecule, and that is very dangerous. That's another good topic for another day, is all about fluoride, because fluoride is a natural substance. And then we have fluoride toxicity. So that would be a good thing to do. And maybe I would do that more in a program that's geared towards dental health, because there's a lot to be said about dental things when it comes to our health. Dental procedures, dental chemicals. We have to take care of our teeth. One of the big problems today is how we take care of them when we need help, and some of the things that are not so good for us. So that'll be good. A good thing to talk about. I think that would be interesting to a lot of you, as well as myself, going in there. So benefits of green tea. Scientific findings have linked green tea consumption to the slowing or prevention of cancer, specifically cancer of the bladder, colon, esophagus, and stomach and pancreas. So that's a lot of your alimentary tract, right? Your stomach, your esophagus, your colon, your pancreas. That's all related to GI tract. Bladder is also now the genitourinary tract. Health benefits of green tea have been proven to aid tooth decay and help with dieting. Green tea is very rich in epigallate, catechin gallate. It's one of the catechins, EGCG, which is ECGC. I believe that's what it is, which EGCG. Okay, yep, EGCG. It's right there. But it's good for me to test myself. EGCG is in high levels, and you can get supplements with high EGCG content, is very involved with shrinking fat cells. No, with burning fat cells. So we use it in combination with conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, which comes from meat from grass-fed animals or grass-fed animal products such as butter and milk. But the CLA like shrinks the fat cells, and the green tea helps burn the fat cells once they're shrunk. But it will burn fat cells anyway, whether you shrink them first with CLA or not. Which access the tea's medicinal properties, whether consumed hot or over ice, there you go, Melanie, are attributed to its rich concentration of catechin polyphenols, particularly EGCG, which acts as powerful antioxidants that ward off disease and improve health. So the EGCG is not just for losing weight, but is for helping with all of the antioxidant properties that are great for preventing cancer, that kind of thing. Okay. The health benefits of white tea. Again, we were talking about the white tea. It's like they pick it when they're really doing their job the best. They're picking it the day before it buds, and then it goes through a very, very quick process, not involving oxidation, fermentation, or firing, or rolling, for that matter. So the demand for white tea has soared since the release of early stage research suggesting white tea benefits a bevy of health-related concerns and includes properties that boost immune systems, prevent dental plaque, provide colon cancer protection, and guard against skin cell damage. While the tea has been around for thousands of years in Asia, scientists have only recently found that white tea benefits are linked to stronger antioxidant properties than the other teas. A 1984 study at Pace University revealed that white tea extract may slow viruses and bacterial growth, thus reducing the incidence of staphylococcus and streptococcal infections, pneumonia, fungus growth, and even dental plaque. That's huge. Findings from another study conducted at the Skin Study Center at University Hospitals of Cleveland and Case Western Reserve University reveal indicators that white tea helps skin cells by boosting immune systems when exposed to harmful sun rays. Remember, I was talking about sunburn. What sunburn actually is that all of your antioxidants have been used up and you need to replenish them. So things that protect the skin, not sunblocks, but things that, like our skin line, our creams and lotion, really delay sunburn and really treat sunburn, because they're so, the reason being that all of the plants in there are whether they be in oils or in plants that were extracted into the oils, or the antioxidant rich oils that we add afterwards, it's because it's restoring antioxidants, and that's what takes care of burn. So anyway, that makes sense. It's so fascinating on the one hand, because these ancient cultures, they just drank the tea. They didn't think they were doing anything like you and me. We might say here in the year 2025, oh, I want to, purchase some white tea, some green tea, some oolong tea, some black tea, or whatever. We might want to start getting into drinking tea because we find out about how they're anti-cancer. So we're like, I'm going to do that. This is why we look at some of these ancient cultures, whether it be India in the Ayurvedic medicine, or traditional Chinese medicine, or then we can look at medicine as practiced in other Asian countries such as Korea. And we say, wow, we found that traditionally these people had so much less disease. And less disease many times we'll find in people who are in there, and that changes when they move to Western countries and kind of give up, or the next generations give up those traditions. So Connie asks, are all teas organic, or are some leaves sprayed on some brands? I'm sure that's true. So if you're shopping for tea, you're going to be careful your source, like anything else. but labeling today is usually very excellent when it comes to that kind of thing. Now, what about red tea? And the reason I said that is because in the beginning I said red tea, green tea, red tea, black. Well, I didn't include that, but with the red fish, blue fish. There is something called red tea, but red tea is actually not Camellia sinensis. It is an herb. It is rooibos, and red bush tea, it's known as. It's very, very helpful, but it is another herb tea. It is not a variation of tea, true tea from the Camellia sinensis plant. Tea in that vein of speaking is that we are taking in our tea, we're taking in our medicinal plant as a tea, in tea form. And then it's brewed similarly, of course. So while we're there, the health benefits of red tea, Japanese scientists who did studies in the 1960s discovered rooibos contains powerful antioxidants that are thought to retard aging and have potent anti-inflammatory properties. In addition, the herb is found to contain the flavonoid asfalafin, which counteracts the atherosclerotic processes that can result in heart disease. Benefits of red tea are really great. They in Africa, they will, if somebody has like a skin disease, they'll brew like a really strong pot of rooibos tea and add it to the bath and soak in it. Drinking the tea internally can also help with skin problems. Additional research by the French revealed that hair lotion containing rooibos promoted faster hair growth with improvement in the hair condition and caused no allergic reactions. Found that the polyphenol, South African researchers found that the polyphenol content in rooibos is similar to green tea. Polyphenols help protect the body from damage by free radicals, so sort of a similar to green tea. Has been helped to relieve digestive problems, nausea, vomiting, stomach cramps, and constipation. In addition, drinking the brew can have a calming effect, has been shown to help with irritability, insomnia, and depression. And finally, the brew the brew how-to, like how do you brew it? And there are different ways and different guidelines. So let's go through those briefly. For each cup of tea you prepare, you will want to heat 6 ounces of water. So you're making a pot. So if you're making a pot of tea, be sure you have pre-measured the amount of water the pot holds. The water temperature and the length of steeping time varies by the blend of tea you are brewing. Here are some general tea brewing guidelines for water temperature and steeping times. Adjust the heat and time based on your individual preferences. So here we go. The time it takes to brew tea correlates to the size of the leaf in your blend. This means the larger the leaf, the longer the brewing time. So black tea, the water temperature between 195 and 210 degrees, steeping time 3 to 5 minutes. Oolong, water temperature similar, 185 to 200, steeping time 2 to 3 minutes. Green tea, cooler water, 165 to 185, 2 to 3 minutes. White, 160 to 175, 2 to 3 minutes. And herbal teas, gotta fix that slide too, 205 to 210. They take a higher temperature, actually, the herbs. I have I don't boil my water and check the temperature. I don't know about you guys, but I don't. I have actually I have it's like a thermos, but it's always on, and it keeps the tea hot, the water hot. But you can adjust the temperature to where you want to keep it. But mine's always at the same temperature. I'll have to check what temperature it is. But anyway, the tea tastes great. And then I just have to fill my cup. To maximize the taste, it's preferable to brew tea leaves in loose form rather than using a small tea bag or infuser, yet these accessories are popular, convenient, and yield tasty brews. This allows the leaves to fully open and release all their flavors. And then, of course, you would just strain it. Use 1 teaspoon of whole leaf tea for each 6-ounce cup when you are brewing. This is the standard for compact blends. If you're brewing tea that has a lot of volume, consider using up to 2 tablespoons per serving. Tea bags versus loose leaf. The tea in commercially produced bags is typically comprised of small pieces of leaves or fannings that are susceptible to becoming stale, faster than the well-stored loose leaf variety. However, there are millions of wonderful teacups full of tea brewed from high-quality tea bags. So again, you would want to be careful with your quality. When your tea is done steeping, immediately remove the loose tea from the strainer or the tea bag and lightly stir, then serve while fresh and hot. If your tea gets too cool, it is best to enjoy it over ice versus reheating the brew. Or like every woman worth her salt, learn to enjoy it lukewarm. I wrote that in there when way back when I first did it. But you know what it's like when you're busy doing so many things. You're like, if you had to have your beverage at ideal temperature all the time, you just would never finish a beverage. So you just learn to like things at room temperature, whether they're supposed to be hot or cold. Okay, so it's tea time. And the credit for most of the information in this presentation goes to Teachings, which is a really cool book that you can get from, well, here it says right there. You can get it anywhere. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. I think I got mine through the tea company. Oh, got a lot of teas here that come from that, but I can't think of what the name of it is. They come in cans with either loose leaf or with the round tea bags. But anyway, I'll think of it as soon as I finish this whole presentation. Anyway, so this is kind of all got some facts from there and then stuff I knew. But I hope that you've enjoyed that. It's tea is just really wonderful. It's a great way to get nutrients in a very pleasant way without even like eating a meal or so much or something. Yeah, of course. Karen is asking about what about mixing various teas, adding red tea to green tea to help with bowels. Absolutely, definitely. And you can definitely use herbal teas for that. We have a lot of herbal teas here, and so herbal teas you can really get some plants. Again, this is not tea per se. And then Dawn says, all this tea talk, she's making one now. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do that too when I go home, have another cup. Prevent that ovarian cancer, which I'm not worried about anyway, but yeah, it's like really great. So yeah, you can mix and definitely mix herbs and things to help with any health problem if you know how. The key to mixing medicinal tea, herbal tea. Well, these teas that we're just talking about, Camellia sinensis, are definitely medicinal, but mixing together different plants and things is getting effectiveness with flavor. That's the real trick, is trying to get things that not only work for the purpose they're intended, but also taste good. And that's the fun of it. So anyway, I think I'm up against, I think we're done. We're just about done here on this topic. I will be giving you more. I'll be talking more about our incense coming up. I'll be talking more about, I know I've talked about, but my topical formulas for circulation and for nerve restoration, and they are just about ready to launch formally. I've used them with a couple of people informally, but there's a lot that goes into getting a new product up and running, like having the time to actually make it and perfect how you're going to make it. And then the labeling and getting everything up and about. But I've promised that to somebody to be ready for the beginning of the week, and it'll be good to have that done. So I'll be sending out more information about those as well in newsletter form. So yeah, the nerve cream, now that's been used. That's going to be called Wondrous Nerve Neurovive. But that has been used by several people with good result, but I just have to get it made in volume. I have none of it made right now. So I will have it done soon. Okay, I think that's it for today, unless anybody has anything else to say, add, or ask. And thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Cindy, everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we had this. I'm so glad we had this time together. And I hope you are too. Okay, take care.